Before I begin with my talk, just wanted to say that it's been a huge honor and a privilege to be here, just to listening to all the speakers since morning. A common theme I saw happening through each of the talks was how you should make the right choice for yourself and follow your passion. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be talking about choices that we make in our lives. And what better way to start the topic of choices other than my most favorite quote about choices. It is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities. Now, I think as a reader, I reached Harry Potter quite late. It was in my second year engineering, and I think it was right during my semester examinations, in between my papers, that I read 6 of the books. And it was when I came across this line in the last book, in the climax of the series, that I was sort of convinced that these books aren't just for children. They teach you so many important lessons in life. In general, I believe that life is a matter of choices. Choices which we make, choices which others make and may indirectly and directly impact us. And then there is a part of our life which need not be directly controlled by the choices that anyone makes. So let's just call it choices made by the universe. If I had to think about a couple of choices that I've made in my life, the earliest, most significant choices, it would be these. And I will talk about why I've called out the glamorous decision of becoming a magazine secretary in my college in a bit. But yeah, I had good marks in 10th, so it was science. I did want to become a doctor because my mom is a doctor, but well, bio never worked out, so engineering trumped medicine. But for the love of my life, and I'm really sorry about that also, I cannot remember why I chose electronics engineering amongst any other streams. And I was really hoping I don't see a lot of resonance, but nevertheless, that is what happens. It was not all that bad, to be honest. At the end of my engineering in my final year, I'd done everything right. I'd given my GRE exams, had a good score. I had a campus placement offer in my hands, and I was studying for my CAT exams as well. But for practical reasons, I decided to do my software engineering job with Accenture. The magazine secretary position was purely and purely because I loved it. And the realization of it came a little bit later, and I'll talk about it soon. Now, there I was, becoming a software engineer and working with Accenture. And trust me, not everything was bad. All was going well, as planned. But something was amiss. Something was not feeling right. I didn't know if I wanted more money, if I wanted a better brand to work for, or I wanted something else in my life, but something was amiss. And that's when this happened. This is one of my favorite quotes about serendipity, and I was really happy that serendipity is one of the words in the theme for COEP today. And like I said, I wasn't sure what I'm looking for, and I wasn't sure what is it that I want. But one fine day, I came across something which a friend of mine introduced me to. Now, this is a friend who generally is not moved by anything in his life. He's a kind of a person who was of the opinion that Harry Potter should have died with Voldemort. So you get the picture. So when someone like him is talking passionately about something, I had to listen to what it is. I checked it out. I read about Teach for India, and I think that was the poster back then. And one thing led to another. I applied for the fellowship program in one sitting, and I completed my application. I get a call that I've been selected for the final interview, and I prepare for the final interview. And they asked me to prepare a 5-minute sample teaching lesson so that I can do it during my interviews. I do it. But all this while, I have no idea why am I taking so much of an effort for a job which is not even remotely related to my line of work. I'm doing it, I'm giving it my best, and on the day of my assessment center, when I stood there, I realized I like this, and I'm actually good at teaching. So I get selected for the fellowship program without having ever planned to do it. But at that point in time, that decision made more sense than any of my other decisions. Now, remember I spoke about the magazine position, right? It was during my interviews with Teach for India when they asked me so many questions about why do you want to do the fellowship? Why now? That I realized that there are so many things in my life that I have done without realizing why am I doing them. And the magazine position was one of those decisions. I had really loved books all my life. I am obsessed with grammar. And that is the only reason I think I did really well as a magazine secretary for my college as well. So I became a 2012 Teach for India fellow, and I got a chance to teach in Mumbai, in Dharavi, a class of 30 to 40 students from 5th standard to 6th standard. It's a 2-year program where you teach these kids in the school as well. It wasn't all this happy and smiley all the time. We had our difficult days. There was fractions to be dealt with, decimal conversions to be dealt with, English grammar to be dealt with. Mumbai used to get submerged in the monsoons. The kids were just not ready to learn on certain days. I just wasn't prepared the best on certain days. And it was during all these difficult times that I had to remind myself, why did I take the decision to do the fellowship? And it was at that point that I realized that I truly believed in the transformational power of education and excellent education. And I was seeing the evidences of excellent education every single day in my class. Now, this is not just academic growth. What I'm talking about is my students losing inhibition and fear about English as a language and trying to at least communicate with each other in that. My students genuinely working hard on their homework. And my students learning English, math, science, arts through Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And through all these evidences, I also got the realization that the transformational power of the fellowship is strong in itself as well. It transformed the lives of the students, but at the same time, it transformed me as a person as well. It gave me the clarity of thought. I had to ask myself, why this, why that, every single time before I entered a classroom. And it led me to believe, and from then onwards, I always had this thought in mind, that knowing why I made a choice was more important than what am I choosing. Even if I'm choosing something which I'm not happy about, if the realization stays with me that I know why I'm choosing it, it's more important. And I think it was with this clarity that I decided after my fellowship that I wanted to go to the US to do my master's in information systems. Now, I did not hate my IT job when I quitted and joined the fellowship. I wanted to learn more, I wanted to grow more, and I wanted to go onshore as well. These were my ambitions, and I tried to pursue them. But to be really honest, why did I go to the US? 3 things, for sure. I wanted to watch the musical Wicked on Broadway in New York. I wanted to stand in front of the friend's apartment in New York. And I wanted to see all the cities that I had seen when I was growing up in sitcoms and soap operas and movies. You can ask me later why Space Needle, I'll tell you which one. But most importantly, I wanted to sit on the original Friends couch in the Central Perk studio at Warner Brothers because I'm a huge Friends fan. So when all of this happened, and mind you, I was working with PwC in technology consulting, and I loved my job as well. But when my personal checklist was done, and I had everything that I wanted to do in the US, my visa was secure, and the only thing left was to climb up the professional ladder, something went amiss again. And this time it wasn't serendipity that came to my rescue, like last time. This time it was the second word of your theme, epiphany. And it truly was an awakening of soul. That one fine day I really had to ask myself, what do I really like to do work-wise? And the answer was simple, that I love and I believe in what Teach for India is doing, and I want to consider working for them professionally and in my full capacity. So with that thought in my mind and having a faith in my choice, that even if I'm not entirely sure what am I going to do when I go back to India, I decided to come back to India last year and to work full-time with Teach for India. Currently, I lead our recruitment efforts in East and West regions of India, And I have a wonderful team of passionate recruiters who talk to people and help them have faith in their choice of doing the fellowship. Sure, I must admit it was a difficult decision to give up a comfortable life in the US, a secure visa, which is very important apparently, a well-paying job for a cause. But it was equally simple to make that choice because those weren't compromises and sacrifices. Those were adjustments which I was making for a cause that I truly believe in. And that cause is ending the educational inequity in India, which Teach for India is trying to do for the last 10 years. In the last 10 years that we have taught in 7 cities in different classrooms, so many things have changed and so many things haven't. The photo below shows the last day of my school with my students. And this is 5 years later when I met them in 2019. A lot has changed and a lot hasn't in their lives as well. But one thing was sure, one thing was certain, that I was going to give my full to Teach for India this time. I wanted to invest more people in the cause, and I wanted to make sure that my students who are now in 12th standard don't go through the herd mentality and the popular notion reasons that I did when I was choosing my career. So here I am, as I stand in front of you today, with different aspects of my life, right? I've been a technology consultant, I've been an engineer. I forgot to mention that every day when I used to go to classroom, I used to be petrified because I used to lose my voice every single day, that I won't be able to sing, which I love the most. I'm a music enthusiast, I love books. I'm a recruiter right now for Teach for India, and I don't know what I'll be next in my life, right? So I had to choose what my identity would be when I stand in front of you today. I choose this, and this is my choice as my dearest identity only because I have faith in it. I know what I've done for my students, I know what more I could have done for my students, and I know for a fact what Teach for India is doing for the students as well. So I have choice, I have made the choice, and I have faith in that choice, and I believe in it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Abhijaat Bedekar, and I'm a 2012 Teach for India Fellow. Thank you.